At 61 years old, Melissa Gilbert has finally decided to lay everything bare and tell the unfiltered truth about her little house on the prairie. Co-star Melissa Sue Anderson, the one topic fans have whispered about for decades. Melissa Ellen Gilbert came into this world on May 8, 1964, right in the middle of Hollywood's glittering chaos in Los Angeles, California, born to a young couple, David Darlington and Kathy Wood, who were struggling hard financially and knew they couldn't give their newborn the life she deserved, so in one of the most selfless acts imaginable they placed her for adoption the moment she took her first breath. Just 24 hours later, little Melissa was scooped up by actor Paul Gilbert and his wife, actress-dancer Barbara Crane, daughter of legendary comedy writer Harry Crane, the man behind some of the funniest lines ever heard on classic television, meaning Melissa literally grew up breathing show business air from the second she came home from the hospital. Surrounded by scripts, dance rehearsals, and the constant buzz of Hollywood people coming in and out of the house, creativity wasn't just encouraged, it was the family language. Life threw its first curveball when Melissa was only 8. Her adoptive parents split up. Barbara later married Harold Abels. That marriage also crashed and burned, and from that union came Melissa's half-sister Sarah Rebecca Abels, born January 29, 1975, who would grow up to become the hilarious Sarah Gilbert we all know. From Roseanne and the Connors. Tragedy struck again when Melissa was just 11. Her beloved adoptive father Paul Gilbert died suddenly from a stroke on February 13, 1976, leaving a massive hole in her young life. Despite everything, she was raised in the Jewish faith, celebrating holidays and traditions even though she was never formally converted, giving her a spiritual grounding that would carry her through the wild ride ahead. Talent exploded out of her practically from the crib. She started doing commercials before she could properly pronounce half the words. One of her very first gigs was an Alpo dog food spot opposite the one and only Lorne Greene. But the role that changed everything, the one that turned her into a household name before she even hit double digits, came when she beat out more than 500 other little girls to play Laura Ingalls Wilder, the feisty, pigtailed heart of Little House on the Prairie. She actually found out she got the part from Michael Landon's own daughter Leslie, who went to the same school and casually dropped the life-changing news in the hallway one day. Her real-life brother Jonathan Gilbert joined the cast too as the bratty Willie Olson, and from 1974 to 1983 the show became appointment television for millions, turning Melissa into Half Pint, America's sweetheart. While Little House will always be the cornerstone, Melissa never rested on it. She knocked out powerful TV movies left and right, The Miracle Worker in 1979 where she played Helen Keller, The Diary of Anne Frank in 1980, Splendor in the Grass in 1981, Choices of the Heart in 1983 where she portrayed real-life martyr Jean Donovan, proving she could carry heavy dramatic weight. As she grew into her teens and 20s she took on more adult roles, Choices in 1986, Family of Strangers in 1993, and even voiced Batgirl in the 90s Batman, the animated series, showing off that unmistakable husky voice. She popped up in 3 episodes of Babylon 5 in 1996 as Anna Sheridan alongside her then-husband Bruce Boxleitner. Sure, there were flops, Little House. Then in 2013 she found the real deal with actor-director Timothy Busfield, best known for 30-something and The West Wing. They got engaged fast, married in a private ceremony, and at long last Melissa says she finally understands what a healthy, supportive partnership actually feels like. And now, at 61, with all that life behind her, Melissa Gilbert has finally opened up about the one relationship fans have obsessed over for almost 50 years, her complicated, intense, sometimes painful connection with Melissa Sue Anderson, the prim, perfect Mary Ingalls to her wild, tomboy Laura. In a series of raw, emotional interviews Melissa laid it all out, no filter, no sugarcoating. We were bonded the second we met, she said, 2 little girls thrown into insane fame before we even understood what fame was. That creates something deeper than regular friendship, but it also creates pressure nobody warns you about. She admitted that while the cameras showed perfect sisterly love, behind the scenes things got messy, jealousy flared, insecurities bubbled up, normal kid stuff got magnified 1,000 times because millions of people were watching and comparing them every single week. People think because we played sisters we had to be best friends off-screen too, Melissa explained, but we were totally different personalities. Mary was quiet, Studious, goody two-shoes, Laura was the troublemaker, and sometimes those lines blurred in real life. She talked about the natural rivalry that comes when one week the script gives Mary the big emotional scene and the next week Laura steals the spotlight, how at 9, 10, 11 years old you don't have the tools to process that gracefully. There were days they barely spoke between takes, days one of them would cry in her trailer because a fan letter gushed over the other sister, normal childhood drama turned toxic under the microscope of fame. But here's the thing Melissa wants everyone to understand now, there was never real hatred. Never some huge blowout fight that ended everything. Just two kids growing into teenagers and then women who eventually walked very different roads. Melissa Sue Anderson stepped away from Hollywood almost completely after Little House, moved to Canada, then France, raised her family in near total privacy, while Melissa stayed in the spotlight, kept acting, writing, producing, running for office, living loud. Our paths just diverged, Gilbert says with zero bitterness. And that's okay, you can love someone from your childhood with all your heart and still not be part of each other's daily lives decades later. She went out of her way to praise Anderson's talent and character, calling her one of the most naturally gifted actors I've ever worked with, so professional even at 10 years old it made the rest of us step up our game. Melissa remembers watching Mary's blindness storyline unfold and being in absolute awe of how Melissa Sue pulled it off, how she never broke character, how she brought quiet power to every scene. She taught me what real grace looks like, Gilbert says, and I'll always be grateful for that. Why speak now, after all these years of letting rumors swirl? Because I'm 61, Melissa laughs, and at this age you stop caring what people think, you stop needing to protect old versions of stories, you just want the truth out there so everybody can move on. She says age has given her the gift of perspective. She can look back and see two scared little girls doing their best under insane circumstances instead of rivals fighting over scraps of attention. There's no bad blood, never was, she insists, just life happening, just two women who shared something huge when we were kids and then grew into totally different adults. That bond is still there, it's just quiet now, and that's perfectly fine. Melissa Gilbert's long overdue honesty about Melissa Sue Anderson isn't about dragging anyone or settling scores, it's about finally giving fans the real story. Yes, they loved each other, yes, they fought sometimes, yes, they drifted apart, and none of that diminishes what they created together on that little Prairie set all those years ago. At 61, Melissa Gilbert is finally at peace with every chapter of her extraordinary life, including the complicated, beautiful, perfectly imperfect sisterhood she shared with the girl who played her big sister Mary, and now the whole world gets to hear the truth straight from Half Pint herself.